I really want to clear my life to make it so that I have to make as few decisions as possible about anything except how to best serve this community. And there's actually a bunch of psychology theory that even making small decisions around what you wear or what you eat for breakfast or things like that, they kind of make you tired and consume your energy. And my view is, I'm in this really lucky position where I get to wake up every day and help serve more than 1 billion people, right? And I feel like I'm not doing my job if I spend any of my energy on things that are silly or frivolous about my life, so that way I can dedicate all of my energy towards just building the best products and services and helping us reach our goal and achieve this mission of helping to connect everyone in the world and giving them the ability to stay connected with the people that they love and care about. So that's what I care about. So even though it kind of sounds silly to, all right, that's my reason for wearing a gray t-shirt every day, it also is true. And I think that there are a number of other people throughout history who've kind of had the same approach. I think Steve Jobs did. I think our president, Obama, I don't think chooses what he wears every day, kind of for the same psychological reason. And but in our case, it's just I really want to make sure that all of my energy can go towards serving this community. I think it kind of starts with doing something that you think is really important, right? People, I think, build companies for a lot of different reasons, but for me, I actually never really wanted to build a company. When I started Facebook, I didn't start it as a company. I just started it as a project. And I only decided to turn it into a company once we had so much work that we were doing that I realized that I needed a lot of help, and that the best way to structure this whole thing and make Facebook the best thing that I could was if I made it a company and used that to hire people. So that way, as we made money, I could get more talented people to join and get more energy going towards building and serving this community. But I actually think as I met more people who started companies, I learned that was actually not a very uncommon thing. A lot of the best companies and the founders who I admire didn't set out in the beginning to build a company, because at the end of the day, I think building a company can get kind of old. And there's a lot of stuff that you're going to have to deal with that's just not that fun. But if what you really care about is some change that you're trying to make in the world, then that can be pretty motivating for a long time. And then there's this concept in education these days, grit, where a lot of what makes, I think, a company or an organization or an individual effective is just the ability to power through a lot of stuff that sucks. And building a company, most things do not go your way, right? So I mean, as much as it may look like, oh, like building Facebook, it just kind of like worked at each step along the way, it really isn't true. I mean, I've been very lucky, right? And I've gotten a lot of really good breaks, both in my life and in building this company. But like almost every day, there are crazy things that come up that just from all angles, right? I mean, we have a technical issue, and one data center doesn't have electricity, and we need to manage that, right? So kick in the backup generators, or there's like some government is trying to do something that's difficult, right? And or there's a competitor, or or like someone who's really important in the company wants to leave to go do something else, and we relied on them to go deliver something for our community, and or our business isn't going as well, and investors are going to be upset, and then there's all this pressure to focus on making money instead of doing what we really want to do, which is serving the community. So there are just all these things that come up, and I think the key is just kind of those two things. It's you really need to believe in what you're doing, and that it's an important and helpful thing in the world, and you need to have grit in order to kind of see these things through, and surround yourself with a team of people that you like working with who also have grit and will help you get through it, because no one can ever do this by themselves, right? But if you can do that, then there are lots of examples of successful companies in the world. So the good news, I think, is that Facebook is not that unique in the grand scheme, right? I mean, maybe something like Facebook doesn't come along every year, but if you look at like 100 years or 1,000 years, there are many examples of people who have like believed in things, who have focused on them and built them, and on all kinds of different scales, and it really is possible. So I'd encourage you to just keep on focusing and find what you think is a really important change that needs to get built in the world and do it. So my path here has been interesting, because when I was getting started, I didn't want to build a company, and I didn't know anything about building companies. So one of the things that was really lucky for me was I started Facebook when I was a student in college, and then I moved out here to Silicon Valley for the summer, right then, and the reason why I did that was because I saw that there were all these awesome companies all these awesome technology companies that got built out of Silicon Valley, and I actually at the time I wasn't even thinking that Facebook might be one of them. I was like, well, one day down the line, maybe I'll build something that'll be a company, right? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of silly in retrospect to think that I wasn't thinking about that. But the plan was, to move out here and then move back, and I just started meeting really interesting people who gave me advice on, things to look out for, and people who joined our team and who supported me on this whole path towards doing all the stuff that I had no idea how to do. But challenge after challenge after challenge for 10 years now and continuing. So, the real secret, I think, it's there's no kind of superhuman ability that anyone has to just kind of power through stuff. I mean, I do think you kind of need to remind yourself that you need to focus and try not to let stuff bother you as much as possible. But it is going to bother you because you're human. That companies that have more founders are actually more likely to have a successful outcome. And I mean, one of the reasons for that, I think, is that it's just like really hard to do anything on your own like this. I mean, there just are so many challenges and there are going to be things that you don't know how to do. And one of the things that I think the media gets wrong about companies or inventions or things over time is they try to make it seem like one person did it, right? So, it's part of the reason why we're doing this Q&A today, but like my team is here, right? Because I don't know all the answers and we're building this together. And, I think that that's like a really kind of fundamental thing about how stuff works. And, the more that you feel like you have to take everything onto yourself when you're taking on some big challenge, I think the more that it's just likely that something eventually is going to be overwhelming or that you're not going to know how to deal with it, because no person knows how to deal with everything. But if you can kind of find a team of people or friends or family, and there'll be different people over time because, different people like focusing on different types of problems or different scales of the problem, then that's what's really going to get you through. And that's what's gotten me through, and that's what continues to get me through all the stuff that we have. So yeah, you don't have to be superhuman. You just kind of need to kind of keep on going and not do it alone, and find people who share your passion for what you think is an important thing in the world, and you keep on going like that.